Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Gloss, and welcome to my first ever 3-person episode of A Bro's Guide to Glitter. Today's topic is drag. We'll be talking about one of our guests' own drag experiences and RuPaul's Drag Race. Our first guest I met doing local theater, and we ended up going to high school together and being on the San Mateo improv team. He studied comedy at Emerson College, is co-host of the Two Dummies podcast, and is here because he's a big fan of drag and RuPaul's Drag Race. It is the comedy king, Noah Bender.
The Comedy King is in the house. Hello, Sarah, and how's it going? Let's get ready to Kiki and Kai Kai the house down boots. Did I say that right?
I believe you did. Welcome, Noah. So our next guest I met in high school, and we were also on the San Mateo improv team together. They are a drag performer themselves, located in SoCal. Their drag name is Moonshine, and you can follow them on Instagram at It's Just Moonshine. Please welcome Peter O'Shea.
Meow, 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 meow. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome, Peter.
I'm so excited.
So, when did each of your drag experiences begin? Peter first.
So I started doing drag like kind of in the bedroom when I was a kid. And yeah, like I got started with makeup very early, was never very good at it because I kind of had to keep it hidden. But I would have been like 14 or 15, kind of going out to the clubs in SF, and just kind of like not really doing drag in a professional manner, but just going out and seeing, you know, all the club kids, all the other queens that would just be out. And that's kind of how I first got my real foot in the door. When I moved to LA about 3 years ago, that's when I kind of like started hitting the ground running. I was 19, so still underage, but I had
They thought you were like, they thought you were 39.
Yeah. Girl, they thought I was Jada Pinkett Smith up in there. Like I started at 19. My first gig was at Fault Line. Shout out, I think it's closed now. I never know what's going on with it. But it was a lot of fun, and I didn't have makeup because I was so broke at the time that I literally went and bought like tempera paint, like, you know, like the finger painting shit for kids.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, I beat my face with that, and it kind of worked. I mean, in the moment I was like, girl, you can't tell me shit. Like, this is sickening.
That seems like something that you would do now just to be avant-garde.
Honestly, no, not anymore. Looking back, I'm like, no, girl, like that, just like my skin alone couldn't handle it. I put on the wrong moisturizer and now I like break the fuck out. But yeah.
Nice. And when was the first, so like going out to the clubs in high school, was that your first time like seeing drag performance, or like had you seen it before, like before you had started like putting on makeup in the bathroom and stuff?
No, I hadn't. I mean, I'd seen Drag Race. Drag Race was like my introduction to drag.
Mm-hmm. And when did you see that?
6th grade, 7th grade. I know I was in middle school. It was season 4. I had just gotten an iPod. It was a summer full of opportunities. And I used to, like, I shit you not, this is like, I literally stumbled upon it. You know how iTunes used to do like the first free, like the first episode of a TV show is free on like the Apple store. Drag Race was one of like the featured ones, and it was like their little Meet the Queens video. And I was like, okay, well, it's free, so like I'm gonna check it out. I had no idea what it was.
Peter loves free.
I love I'm like, well, Irish to the bone. Anything free, I'm like, I'm there. So like, I literally like, I watched it, and I remember Elisa Summers was the first queen I like basically ever saw. And I was just entranced by it. I was like, what is this? Like, how do I do this? How do I be a part of it? So I ended up like in those days I had to like buy a gift card to like get the, to buy stuff on iTunes. That was back in the day, girl. And so like it was really, really enchanting time for me. Like I just remember being so possessed by it. And I really haven't looked back since.
Nice. All right, Noah, care to tell us about your experience?
So I first really discovered drag at acting camp. I went to Young Actors Theater Camp, and they have a drag dinner every session, and so it was a very simple kind of notion of drag. It was more just cross dressing, just a lot of like swapping clothes with a girl and having them do my makeup, and I had a wig and like borrowed people's heels that were too small, and I did drag night at Young Actors Theater Camp for 4 years. But didn't really understand what drag performance was until I saw RuPaul's Drag Race on TV. I started watching the show at season 10 in college, which is, I kind of feel like when it really... it's hard to tell whether it's like when I got into it or when it also coincided when the audience really got super big and much more kind of mainstream as it is now. That felt like a turning point for that. But yeah, like I loved playing with gender and expressing my feminine side with that. Like I'm not gay. I'm a straight man, and I don't really do drag often, but I'm just a drag fan. And I've just always loved the idea of playing with gender and the freedom and expression that brings, but also just like having a good time with it. Like we did like little short films at theater camp. And my first year was when I was like 15, and I did my short film in drag. It was like an ensemble piece that was like a bunch of students in a high school giving like class president speeches, and I played like the popular girl, Jessica Adams, and was just kind of doing my kind of ditzy blonde shtick that was very draggy.
Yeah, it is interesting how there is that like history of like drag in theater and how that comes from like at times it is like part of like the joke, at least with like Shakespeare, like all of the actors at the time were men. And so when female characters had to dress as men in the play, that in itself was funny because you had men pretending to be women pretending to be men. And
right.
So it's like, that was like entertaining to see like all of the layers of gender performance. And then even like with the importance of being earnest, there's that like one character who is like a female, but like who's supposed to be played by like a male identifying performer. Cause there's
Lady
the
Bracknell.
idea. Yes. Because there's the idea that like I assume Noah with that role, I assume that like you did, a good job, and the fact that you played it would like highlight just like the performance of femininity in that. So that's like an interesting history too, with like just the idea of performing gender.
Yes, my 15-year-old improvised short film was very Shakespearean indeed. You can definitely put us in the same category.
Give her a BAFTA.
Yeah.
So let's play a word association game. So I am going to put 15 seconds on the clock. And in those 15 seconds, you're going to say every word that comes into your mind when you think of drag. Let's start with Noah this time. Then we'll do Peter. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, go.
Art, artist, love, beauty, colors, performance, lip sync, clubs, and LGBT. Am I still going?
No, that's good. That's
RuPaul.
good. Football. Thanks, Noah. All right, you ready, Peter?
I'm ready as I'll ever be.
All right, let's go. Ready?
Money, competition, art, messy, garbage, tip spot, club, bar, bra. Oh no. Did I already say money? Fuck.
Yes. I do have a question. Why money?
Honestly, because like as a drag queen, like that's what you're always thinking about.
Gotta get your coin.
You spend a lot to get a little, and then you just have to keep cycling that money back through. I mean, it really is. I think it's Bianca Del Rio says like we really are just like facilitators of buying alcohol. And so money's like a very important part of drag, I would say. Michelle Visage likes to say, you don't need money, girl. Oh, yes, you fucking do. Maybe when there was 10 drag queens in the LA area, you didn't need money. But now that is so much competition, you absolutely have to have money if you want to stay on top.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't imagine what all those, like makeup and the best like costume material has to really add up.
I will say we are highly blessed, like the LA queens, because we have the benefit of Santee Alley. I can get $1 a yard fabric, and I don't think you can do that anywhere else in the country, quite frankly. Because even going to New York, going to their fabric district, it was very expensive just for like spandex and stuff. And that's like a drag queen's best friend. That's supposed to be the cheap fabric, and they wanted like $10 a yard for it. I was like, no.
Yeah, crazy. So for, the listeners who don't know, according to Wikipedia, the term drag refers to the performance of masculinity, femininity, or other forms of gender expression. A drag queen typically is someone who performs femininity, and a drag king is someone who performs masculinity. This is just the Wikipedia definition. And this Wikipedia article also talks about the history of dressing and performing different genders in performance over centuries. Obviously, for many years in England and Europe, only men could do theater, which means they played women in, shows and cultural customs, and even Shakespearean plays like As You Like It and Twelfth Night have men playing women playing men. But unlike fictional theater, drag performers have what's often described as a drag persona, which is not a character, but their own entity. And modern day drag culture as we know it really started in the 1960s, but ramped up in the 1980s in the queer community and with the ballroom scene. But despite this brief overview, I wanted to ask you guys, what is drag to you? And let's start with Peter this time.
Drag to me is like, honestly, club culture, because there are so many nights where you go out and you see somebody in just a wig and a fucking pair of heels, and that's it. And to me, that is the essence of drag, is like making it work, doing what you can with what you have, and just living for yourself, enjoying the night, enjoying what you're doing. I don't think it takes a whole lot to do drag. You have to have fun. You have to have fun with it. That's what always makes me think of drag. It's like that little fat in the corner. Can I say? Sorry. I guess I've already said
you can say
it. But like it's that kind of what's the word? That's the picture for me when I think of drag. I think of like when I was beginning, and you just like, I didn't have the money for pads. I didn't, I was ripping up couch cushions off the fucking street to make like a figure for myself, making it work and making it work on the fly. I think that's what I think of like when I think of drag.
Yeah, nice. What about you, Noah?
What I love about drag is I feel like it's the only art form where you can be the artist and the art at the same time. Where
I like that.
It's such a like form of expression that requires so many different sections of talent that I just really admire. And I just feel like drag itself is just so defiant in terms of taking a often oppressed identity and just getting in people's face and saying, this is who I am, and I'm not going to change. That's just what I really admire about the expression of drag, and the confidence that comes with it.
Nice. So let's start with Noah. Tell me about like your favorite live performances you've seen.
So I've seen some local performances, and I've seen some of the like drag race tours, and there are a lot of structured in the same way where there's a host or two hosts doing some banter and then introducing queens to do their big musical number, either a performance or a lip sync. But yeah, it's amazing to see, like, my first real drag show that I saw was the season 10 tour, and it was in a huge theater in Boston, and it was, these queens that I'd seen on TV, so they're like celebrities to me. And yeah, to see them perform live is, you get such a different sense of them than just watching on TV. But I saw Peter perform drag a couple years ago. And it was wonderful. I mean, like, what Peter does with drag is very unique and inventive. I feel like, yeah, you embrace the messy, nasty side of drag. Like, when I saw you perform the first time, you violently ate a cucumber on stage.
I had to get my vitamins.
Yeah, you had to get your vitamins, and you had to find a little gag.
I was in West Hollywood. I was like, oh, girl, I got to eat my veggies.
Might as well shove it right down.
What about you, Peter? What are some favorite live performances?
Oh, gosh. This is really unfortunate for me because now I hate her on a personal level. But there is a queen in Orange County who she did this amazing mix. And this was one of the, like, not to be like, I've been around the block, but I have seen a lot of drag. I've seen a lot of bad drag. And this queen, like, she does this number where it's, the board game Operation Sam?
Yeah. Yes.
So she comes out as like Operation Sam, and it's that song like, push me and then just touch me till I can get my satisfaction. And she does that with the little buzzer sounds from Operation Sam. She has this bodysuit with all the little, like, the wishbone and the heart and all that stuff, and she has this pair of tongs, and she'll just like take them off, and it's it sounds so basic now that I'm saying it, but when you're at the club and you're watching this at like 2 a.m, you're like, what? It's like, fuck yeah. She does a few other songs like in it, and it's all very clever. And it's wonderfully packaged. So that was definitely like one performance that's always stuck in my mind. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Florida Man.
Is that a queen?
Yeah, she's a queen who went viral a couple of years ago for her Lady Voldemort.
Oh yeah, I saw that one. She did Ariana Grande song. Yeah.
Yeah, so she's actually from San Francisco, and she has, oh my God, she has so many like great ideas when it comes to drag performances. One of my favorites is she does From Dreamgirls and I'm Telling You I'm Not Going.
That song was built to lip sync.
But she does it as a toddler who's like refusing to go like potty train. It is the funniest fucking thing you've ever seen. Like, there is nothing better than a grown adult in a diaper doing this number. Like, it changes the way you think about the song completely forever. I think for me, those are always my favorite performances, when it's like, why did you have to come at it like that?
But it works.
I can't unsee it.
Do you think that, like, because obviously there's lip syncing, there's like dancing, and even just like the costumes in themselves are performances. But do you think that there's like certain like performances that are more like interesting than others or more successful than others?
It depends, because if you're talking about successful, I would say when dancing and kind of I would call it the traditional sense of lip syncing is much more successful when you're in West Hollywood, or you're conveying to a straight audience. Kind of doing a drag show for straight people is very different than doing a show for queer people. Doing a show for queer people is very different from doing a show for gay people. There's a lot of distinctions because all of these audiences are looking for something different and think of something different when they think of drag. So for me personally, I would say it's not necessarily, you have to think about your audience when you're going into a gig. You have to think about, okay, like, where is this club? Who is the main clientele? Is it going to be a lot of white gay dudes? Like, you just have to think of stuff like that. Personally, for me, I obviously, as Noah kind of said before, I like to be a little more edgy with my numbers. But in the recent years, I've learned it's a lot more about knowing when is the time for that and when's the time for the good old, like, Proud Mary shucking, you know?
Yeah. So let's talk about, you know, your own, like, development of your style, Peter. Like, how did you develop that? How did you develop your style? How did you choose your name?
Well, I knew I wanted to be different. Not to be like that, but like, I was like, I'm different. I have different opinions. I really wanted to do something that was more fun and stuff. And like, especially a lot of my drag inspirations have been more artists that kind of push the boundaries of what it means to do drag and how you think about it. One of the first queens that I ended up seeing, this was before she was on Drag Race, was Evie Oddly. And she came out.
Awesome.
She came out, did a fucking backbend while eating a pack of cigarettes. Like, I cannot explain, like, literally shoved a pack of cigarettes in her mouth, like all 20 of them just like crammed in her mouth. And it was like,
that's a whole lot of tar for your stomach.
Oh, you betcha. It was insane. And especially you're watching this at 1:30 in the morning, drunk as hell. And you're like, no, bitch, like, go for it. And so like, when I was kind of building up what I wanted to do, I was like, I want to take that edge and go that way with it.
The best queens push it to the ultimate limit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of, when I first started out in LA, I was very known for doing Lizzo's Juice, which at the time I was still underage, and I was like, of course, Four Loko was all the rage because I was still like 20, and I was like, woo. So I had this number where I did, Lizzo's like Juice song, and I literally would come out on stage with Four Loko and douche with it on stage, and then like I would start to drink it, like kind of push the water back out of me, and then like pour it all over me, and you know, at that point everybody would be like,
Nice. So like, do you think over time, like, how has it been like perfecting your craft?
Honestly, it's fun, and I find more joy in kind of polishing myself a little bit, because the thing is, and an older queen that I became kind of friends with, she kind of taught me, like, you can get away with a lot more of messy stuff when you look super presentable and put together. And also it's wonderfully fun to look like all put together and nice, and then come out and shock the audience with what you're going to do.
Yeah. And I mean, even thinking the way you said it, because even your name, Moonshine, like, I assume that's after the drink, yes?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, even that, you know, it's like a very like hard liquor, but
it'll give you a kick in the pants.
Exactly, but it's because it's so, I don't know, it has like a reverence from being like the prohibition time hard stuff.
And the thing is like, you'll be knocked out on your ass, but you'll know you had an amazing night. And that's the kind of performances that I want to give, where you're like, what the fuck was that? But also, how can I get more?
Yeah.
Hard to forget.
Yeah. Hard to forget and hard to remember too at the same time.
Yeah. And even like your outfits I've like seen on your Instagram, like you have those moments of like, you know, the wig and like the eyeshadow, but you also have that like blue like doll sock puppet. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, yeah. Fun
Yeah.
fact, I made that super. I was asked to do a photo shoot by Glitteress. She's one of the queens out here in LA. Wonderful performer. If you're ever in North Hollywood, go to the Canby Bar every month. Like I think it's the second Friday of every month. I'll be there next week.
Ooh.
But Glitteress has always been very kind to me. She asked me to do her calendar. She does this like yearly calendar. And I had nothing for like 2 days before the photo shoot. And I was like, okay, fuck, let me just make something. See, I had this like nasty ass blue sock puppet like fabric. And I was like, okay, like, let me just make a little bodysuit and just cover my whole face. That'll work. Yeah, I turned that out in like 2 days.
Yeah, and it looked really cool.
Thank you.
Pete, I want to ask you about one of the newest additions to your aesthetic arsenal that I feel like is important to your persona. Your new big set of huge titties.
This is the best part too, is now I have four because I bought them from China, and the supplier, the first pair he sent me, they split in half like on the side because it's kind of like it's like a bib the way you wear it. And it split, and I sent him pictures, and I was like, I need a new pair. Like, this
I
was
need
like,
new titties stat.
I was like, you gotta give me my tits back. And he was like, okay, like you can keep the broken pair, and I'll send you another one. So now I have four of them, just like sitting in a little box, a big box.
Nice.
But
Gotta,
it is most fun. You know, like, everybody fucking except for people who have big tits, everybody loves big tits.
I bet people go wild when you pull them out.
Oh, absolutely. Consent goes out the door. People always are like pushing, touching me, like it is.
Because you take them all the way out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Where I can. Because in Long Beach and Orange County, we have stricter laws. You're not allowed to show like fake booty. You have to wear the little triangle bikini. That's the most you can get. And you have to hide the underboob, like the underboob cleavage.
You've never been a modest girl, though.
I have not. I never. I have no shame.
So do you have goals? You know, do you have hopes? Do you have dreams for your
Absolutely.
Goals?
Do you like money? Do you like sex? A queen from Hollywood.
You keep name dropping Hollywood. You're like, Hollywood. By the way, Hollywood.
I am a true transplant through and through. I will name drop. I'll be like, oh yeah, like this queen from Hollywood though. She has clients, as we say in the business. Some gentlemen callers who will give her money. And that's one of her favorite things to do. And I remember she came up to one of my friends once and was like, hey girl, do you like money? Do you like sex? Go get them both. Anyway, it's become a motto of mine. But yeah, I have goals. I would love to start producing my own events and shows, which I hopefully, fingers crossed, will be doing soon. Can't talk about it, but there's some things in the works.
Yeah, I want to see you hosting.
Yeah, I'm actually hosting next week. I'm taking over for my drag mother up in Long Beach. So if this comes out in time, November 10th, I'll be hosting at Executive Suites. The next day, I'll be hosting at Beach Garden Social House in Long Beach. It's a beautiful venue. If you have the time, make sure you come out. But yeah, that's I just want to get to kind of like, I feel like I'm an employee right now of drag. I want to be like a manager of drag.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
Thank you. I really want to just putting it out there into the world. I really want a sponsorship with Old Smoky. They're a Moonshine
Smokey
alcohol brand. No,
Oh.
Old Smoky. It's like a Tennessee company. So if you're
Yeah,
listening,
I was thinking the bear.
I'll take
Smoky.
that too. Any money coming my way, I will happily take.
Nice. So let's talk about RuPaul's Drag Race. Noah,
Start your engines.
how would you describe it to the listeners at home who don't know it?
RuPaul's Drag Race they call it the Olympics of drag. It kind of tests every aspect of drag that you might need to use. Lip sync, design, sewing, runway, comedy, acting, all in one. And you have to win over the country with your personality as well. It's all kind of based on things that Ru had to do in her own career to succeed. And it's great. It's the best competition show on TV.
So do you think the challenges then are like accurate or like do a good job capturing what makes someone good at drag?
I think they're good tests. I don't know if they're completely representative of what drag looks like every day, because a lot of people, including me, most of their perception of drag is through Drag Race, which is drag presented at the highest level of stress for these people. But yeah, like Drag Race has definitely reshaped the culture of drag, I feel like. Yeah, I feel like that's all I am qualified to say about it at this point.
Yeah.
Given my limited history.
Yeah. So why? Because it has, great success with mainstream media, and is most people's introduction or like main relationship to drag. So why do you guys think that it has such success with mainstream media?
It's beautiful.
And I think it's relatable for women because Sarah, I'm sure with you as how it is to have to do all these things to meet this expectation of what femininity is and what being a woman looks like in the modern working world. So I think there is an element of relatability for, how do I put this politely? That's not the right word, but women identifying people can understand and watch it and be like, yeah, girl, like this is the expectation that's set upon you by the rest of the world. And seeing all that hard work, I think can be reaffirming of the fact that it's fucking hard to be a woman, even if you're being a woman for 2 hours.
That's very well said.
If I could get sentimental for a second, I feel like Drag Race makes me want to be a better man. Like, it really breaks down all the barriers of caring about what other people think, and just loving yourself for who you are and embracing whatever makes you unique and stand out. Like, it's made me more comfortable with embracing femininity and not needing to adhere to the kind of binaries of gender, which is just a very freeing feeling. Because it's not like I completely see everything about myself represented on the show, but through the way that the contestants express their own histories and their own stories, it's so empowering to see people show each other love in a really genuine way, and to just be free in your own personal expression. I think that's the most unifying aspect of it.
Yeah, I like that. So who are your guys' favorite queens, favorite seasons? What makes a season good or bad? Go ahead, Noah.
My favorite queen is Monique Hart. She was from season 10. I think she's an all-around queen. She's a runway queen. I think she's a great catchphrase queen. She goes, "Facts are facts, America," and I am cooped and gagged. She's a catchphrase machine. And she's just got a really bubbly personality. I like Manila Luzon. She's a great shady queen who has some excellent runways. Who else? I mean, there are some, the mega stars like Trixie and Katya. They're hilarious together. Someone I've loved on a recent season, I love Naomi Smalls. She's wonderful. Miss Vanjie. The list goes on. There's so many different types of queens.
Yeah. How about you, Peter?
It's kind of hard to pinpoint like my favorite, because like on some level I like them all, and on some level I don't like them all. But I would say absolutely one of my like absolute favorites is Trinity K. Bonet. Like,
she's awesome.
She is the modern face of the pageant world, I would say, because she has that regality, that essence, that work mentality.
She was robbed on All Star 6.
I will say it again. I like Eureka, but she was fucking robbed.
She was robbed.
Was unacceptable. Trinity is like an amazing performer. One of the only Ru girls that when you see her live, she actually works.
She can dance.
She can dance. She can turn a look. The Cardi B outfit that she wore, I don't think she wore it on Drag Race, but Cardi B wore, I want to say it was a Mugler look to the Met Gala a few years back, and it was this giant red gown.
Oh yeah.
And Trinity recreated that whole thing by herself, and like it was like 100 yards plus of like fabric and everything. It might have been one of her premiere looks, I think, for the newest season of All Stars, but it was stunning. And just the fact of like knowing that Trinity had a hand in making that, and it's very inspiring to me, because it's like that's the drag that you want to see, is the girls who put their heart, their soul, their feet, their hands, their liver into their drag.
And she broke the Beyonce curse.
The Beyonce curse.
Whenever people do Beyonce on Drag Race, it's a train wreck.
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess. Yeah. I mean, if I were to do Beyonce, I would have broken the curse too.
Oh yes, of course.
Oh, of course. You'd have brought the house down.
I'm very well known for my Beyonce, yes.
Oh yes.
So what are the two like differences, or like are there differences between like the performances on RuPaul's Drag Race and like most other live performances you see? How do you think like the differences?
Money. Isn't it? It's
probably money?
Yeah. It's a lot of budget, right? I feel like one of the main separators is like Drag Race queens just are like they have so much. They have access to the resources that come with being on Drag Race.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but when you get on Drag Race, I don't know if this has changed, but I know as of a few years ago, this was accurate. When you get on Drag Race, you actually have to have a bar sponsor you in order to get on the show. So the bar will help with your budgeting and your costumes and stuff like that. I know majority of it through one of the queens that was on Drag Race a few years ago. And yeah, like working backstage for her, like it was very interesting. It's a lot of contractual obligations. It's a lot of so like the money comes definitely at a price, but it's totally worth it. And like I would agree, money is probably the biggest factor in between things. Out here you can get a commissioned outfit by like a proper seamstress for probably anywhere from like $100 to $500 for a costume. And then when you go on Drag Race, you're spending thousands, 2,000, 3,000. But you don't always have to spend money to make something look great. And those are generally the queens that are really talented. Like Raja O'Hara, I don't know if y'all saw the article a few weeks ago. She spent like, in comparison to the other girls, she spent $600, I think, for All Stars, and came back with these stunning looks. Yeah.
And she made 100% of her looks.
Yeah, she made it all.
Yeah, usually they say queens spend more on Drag Race than on college.
Oh, absolutely. I want to say like it's estimated around 30 to 40,000. I know Pheromone spent like something in the 30s.
And she was on one episode of All Stars.
Yeah, or two. But
Wow. Interesting. How do you feel about like drag queens being famous? Like, do you ever get a little bit like, do you wish that you could have that fame? Do you feel like there's like, not the, real localness that like some drag communities do? What's your opinion?
twofold. One, I'm very certain that I'm going to get to that level. To be honest, I'm very like, as long as you put in the work, anything.
You're on the journey.
Yeah, and so I'm definitely like, I don't see it as a threat. I see it as like, I'm going to be up there with y'all. Give me five or so years, and I'll be there. I will say to audiences at home, I would say if you're really into drag, go and see the local shows because you'll get twice the show for half the price. And I mean that genuinely. This is nothing to shade like the Ru girls, but when you go and see a queen who's on Drag Race at a club, she's been working every day nonstop for probably the past 3 months. So she's a little tired. And I mean that in the kindest way possible. A lot of times going out to see Ru Girl, I mean, in the beginning, when I was first getting into drag, I would go out and want to see the Ru Girls. And after seeing them perform, it's it's nothing like going to a local show because they're very tired. They won't give you their all because this is city number 30 on a 100 state tour. So it's not very interesting, the stuff that they do. It's also numbers that they've been doing for years and kind of just rehash because people are interested in it. And people want to see somebody that was on TV. That's kind of the big thing.
It seems like when you go on Drag Race, you finish the season, you put out a big single, and then you play that at all of your shows.
Yeah. And then you walk around, you collect money. People are giving you hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and you're just standing there. Whereas you go to a local show and you will see girls kicking and bucking, and you will see all sorts of crazy shit that you won't see at a show like that. It's honestly, like, I think the best example is going to Executive Suite, and Wednesday is the local girl show, and you will see some amazing performers from Orange County and from LA in general. You'll see some amazing performances. You'll see fire eating, you'll see acting, you'll see all sorts of theatrics. And then the next day is the Thursday show, which starts kind of like the Ru Girl shows. It's on the weekend. I've been to that a lot of times, and every time literally the cast is stacked with Ru Girls, and you will just sit there and watch a queen walk around to a Deborah Cox song and just collect money from every table. And then you get your dollars ready for the next one, and they'll just walk around. And this is no shade to them as performers, because also too, people are from out the gate, when a Ru Girl is introduced on the mic, people already have their dollars ready to like hand to them. So obviously, what are you going to do? You're going to take the fucking dollar.
I saw a show recently. I saw a drag show last weekend, and it was a little annoying at some points because there was this one queen who just started out her performance by collecting money. Like, I think she made the whole performance about just going around to individual tables and collecting tips. I'm like, you got to give me something first. You got to wow me, and then come out with the fishnet, and then I'll give you some money. Don't go straight to my table and be like, just hand it over.
There is Nicole Paige Brooks from season 2 of Drag Race is notorious for this. She will do a number in the show, and she will like go from person to person, and she'll do a little like shimmy and then put her hand out for the money. And if they don't give it to her, she will sit there and she will wait until she will force you to give her the money. It's sickening. I love it. It is so funny. And then as soon as she gets the money from you, she'll go to the next person and do the exact same thing. It is hilarious. That is camp.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's very much in the spirit of drag to be just completely demanding and rude like that, because that's camp. That's drag. That's saying like, no, you're gonna do what I want. Damn it.
And I will say, to an extent, it's charming. If you're out there looking fucking busted and you're doing that shit, I'll be like, girl, I'm not giving you a cent.
Yeah.
Don't try this in that fucking shake and go wig. I think that's the difference between a queen and a queen getting a wig.
Well, and you talk about,
Well said.
speaking of rudeness, there's lots of drama on RuPaul's Drag Race, and that's certainly part
The
of
shade of it all.
Indeed, why people watch it. And I know that I heard from someone that there was one season where they actually like locked the performers in their rooms so that they basically couldn't start drama unless the camera was rolling. And is there that much, do you think that that might kind of like diminish the friendship found within the drag community, or is it like all fun representative just as? What do you think of it?
I mean, I feel like that is representative of the real world of drag. You cannot get on Facebook or Instagram any day without seeing two queens going at it for some stupid ass shit.
I said what I said.
Very that. There is a feeling of reverence that a lot of queens have. They feel like they need all the respect, and when it's not the way that they want it, they are going to let you know, and they are going to let Facebook know too. Like, I swear, Mark Zuckerberg probably has the fucking record. I don't know why queens always go to Facebook for drama. It's so funny.
That's what I was about to say. I think of Facebook as kind of like, my grandmother's on it, and like the parents of my friends are on it. I don't think of like my generation being on Facebook.
I mean, it is a lot of the older queens that are on Facebook, but it would surprise you. A lot of the younger ones are too, just talking shit and stuff like that. And like, personally, to me, I feel like that's part of the good old fun, is navigating these things and navigating these situations. And that's part of becoming a professional, is learning how to deal with people who are very dramatic, who need their attention. But yeah, like, I feel like, honestly, the drama on Drag Race, that's also, I feel, why it is so special, is because it's really real. Like,
they're so passionate.
People get upset over the stupidest things, and it's interesting. Like, one of my friends used to do drag back in Ohio, and she was like, "Oh, girl, like, Ohio is competitive. They will steal your wigs. They will, like." When Bianca said, like, if I wanted to come for you, I'll come for you. I'll cut your fucking wigs up. Like, she wasn't kidding. There are girls who would do that. I've known girls who've gotten their cars broken into, all their drag stolen. My friend would say, like, girls would wait for a queen to go out of the dressing room. They would turn her dress inside out and take a picture of all the seams so they could recreate her dress at another time.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, that to me was very smart. I was like, I would do that.
There was a whole controversy on season 11 or something about wig stealing.
Or like wig sharing, right?
Well, it was with like Ariel Versace, where some queen got eliminated, and a bunch of people were like, "No, she said I could have her wigs."
It's very that. You will find like that. I guarantee you was not a scripted moment. That was genuinely, and I guarantee you, Ariel probably just forgot her wigs.
Yeah,
she didn't leave them for nobody. All these queens were just like, yeah,
no
girl,
no one's donating shit like that.
No, hell no. Like, that is a $400 wig. I'm not giving you shit. She probably couldn't fit them in her suitcase.
So you talked earlier about like when you perform for straight people versus when you perform for like gay people and queer people? And do you think that, I mean, I feel like, or I assume that on RuPaul's Drag Race, they're like kind of performing for straight people, more aware that they're on the television show. And do you think that because of that, there's anything the show doesn't show that you wish it would, or maybe it creates some misconceptions about drag for the audience watching at home?
Yeah, I wish they showed more trans performers.
They're going in that direction, but yeah.
They're starting to, but it was, I don't know if you're familiar with Drag Race UK, but they just had the first woman identifying
bio queen.
Yeah, AFAB performer. And RuPaul, people were very mad because RuPaul in one moment addressed her and was like, you know, you are breaking boundaries here. And people were like, Ru, you're the one who fucking set up these boundaries. Like,
yeah.
you're the one who has not let AFAB performers on. And I think it's definitely an issue that needs to be addressed and solved as well, because the best performers are trans people. Like, without a doubt, all of my favorite performers are people who are trans and trans identifying, because there is so much beauty and joy in seeing their performances, and they just fucking turn it out. Like, as a whole, like, trans people are just amazing performers. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's something in the water, but like,
it's got so much passion.
It's very frustrating to see the best girls in my scene not get a chance on a global stage. Like, if you know, I'm sure you're familiar with Sasha Velour. She has a show called Nightgowns, and one of the women on the cast is a trans woman named Sasha Colby, she's a former Miss Continental. Like, she's a pageant girl, sickening performer. To me, Sasha Colby is the fucking essence of drag, because you will see her. She does a lot of like hairography. So she'll bring her own wind fan, like she'll bring a fucking wind machine on stage and like just lean over it and perch and pose and just flip her hair everywhere. And it'll go like, it is the most fabulous thing. And it is an out of body experience. Like, you won't know it, but you will get up and you will find yourself sitting there, like cheering, standing on your feet, like, what, bitch? Like, that to me is the essence of drag. Sasha Colby is somebody who is like phenomenal, a phenomenal entertainer, a phenomenal performer, a beautiful trans woman. Like, she's got everything. And the fact that to think that performers like her aren't going to have the same opportunity as some skinny twink who is white is really disappointing, because think about who has a more interesting point of view. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So if both of you were to be a contestant on RuPaul's Drag Race, what do you think that would be like?
I'd have fun. I wouldn't pass the psych eval, but I would have fun.
There's a psych eval?
Oh yeah, you have to make sure that these girls aren't going to kill themselves after they're bullied online.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Oh my God, I would be so messy on Drag Race. That's like my dream.
You'd be a confessional queen.
Oh no, I would be the girl that like I don't know if you've been watching Dragula.
No, I haven't.
This newest season. Mary Cherry, she's a queen from Brooklyn. Oh my God, so funny. Like, queens will be having a breakdown and she'll be like, so remember what you said about me earlier? Like, how do you feel now that you're in the bottom and I'm safe? Like, I would 100% step into that, doing it like that. Or like tell girls, like I would love to walk around and tell girls like, oh, she said this about you. And it's like completely false.
You're going to be what Candy Muse was last season, where every time she wasn't in the top, she was like, this is who I thought should have been in the bottom.
That is me. I'm like, I do that at a regular show. Yeah. I'll be like, this is who I thought was the worst tonight.
Yeah. This is why I thought you were the worst tonight.
Yeah. Fix your hair. What does Abby Lee Miller say? Get a padded bra. Don't wear dresses.
I mean, I'm not a proper queen, so I wouldn't really like go on Drag Race, but I have done a little bit more as the years of drag dinner went on. Formulated a bit more my drag persona. Her name is Gigi Fondue, and I feel like she's like a messy heiress, if that makes sense. Like the kind of girl who's wearing like a beautiful black velvet gown to the soiree, but like drops her pearls on the floor and is like spending the whole time like trying to pick them up. Like you got
I love that imagery.
Stains. Yeah, like just the idea of like dressed to the nines, but like you lost something under the table.
I like that. And that very much, the subtleties of it fit for your humor.
Yes, and it's fondue, so I'm a cheesy queen.
So,
well, I've had a lovely time. Thank you so much.
thank you guys. And this brings us to the special segment of the episode called
Convince Chad.
So, imagine this. You're at the club, you're about to start a show, and you see this pack of straight boys walk in, thinking they're about to, throw some Friday night shots with the boys.
The hell is this gay shit, man?
They look totally lost. They had no idea there was going to be a performance tonight. They see the two of you talking together, and they walk up and they're like, yo, bro, what the heck is this? Like, am I gonna like this? And now, in Chad's language, the two of you gotta convince him and his buddies that they'll enjoy the show and should stay.
What? I mean, yeah, like it's hard to. What's in it for the straight bro? I mean, you get to see, you get to listen to some great Lady Gaga, Mariah Carey music. I know that's your favorite, right? You get to see a nice smoky eye. Yeah, oh yeah. You might even see someone's hairy chest, like if you see Peter perform, and drag makes me want to be a better man. Don't you think? It just makes you wanna go, yeah, like it makes you, it'll unleash a something that you didn't know was inside you.
And at the very least, you'll get to see some fake titties.
Oh yeah. And with Peters, they're a sight to be seen, to behold.
They cover the cost of admission fully.
Well, I think after seeing Peter's fake titties, I think Chad's convinced.
I get that a lot.
Well, thank you very much for being on this episode.
Of course.
Thank you for having me.
This was awesome.
Yeah. And, to all the listeners listening, I'll see you next time.
Kickity-cat-cat-cow!